WFM 91.7.
Stories of women and girls who have suffered gender-based violence and harassment are common, and this is why we must work together to end gender-based violence by uprooting the seeds from the community. Tune in to Women Lives Matter on Women Radio 91.7 every Monday at 2 p.m. to lend your voice to the fight against gender-based violence. Women Lives Matter will address gender-based violence in the community. Women Lives Matter will seek the collaboration of your community leaders. Women Lives Matter, Mondays 2 p.m. on Women Radio WFM 91.7. This is an initiative of Women Advocates Research and Documentation Center and supported by Ford Foundation.
Good afternoon and welcome to Women Lives Matter on Women Radio 91.7. My name is Sumto Titilayo Ajama. Thank you very much for tuning in to Women Lives Matter. Today on Women Lives Matter, we're speaking about ending violence against women through capacity building community. Ending violence against women through capacity building. While there is a consensus among those working to prevent violence against women and girls, there is insufficient evidence on how to effectively achieve this. To achieve capacity development, you need meaningful commitment, you need a process, an organic process driven by the needs to end violence against women through capacity building for community women. So, today, my name is Sumto Titilayo, as I've said before, and I have with me my guest, Bamboye Folashade, Executive Director, Kids and Teen Resource Center, to enlighten us on ending violence against women through capacity building. Hello, good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining me today, Folashade. Hello, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you very much for having me on the show. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you on as well. Thank you so much. All right, the number to call is 07000 917 917. 07000 917 917. You can also send in text or WhatsApp messages to 0703 175 6537. 6537. So, let's talk. How would you rate the awareness of your immediate community on the need to eradicate violence against women? Now, let me start with your community at this moment.
Okay. Thank you very much for that beautiful question. I want to start by, first of all, appreciating the Women Advocates Research and Documentation Center, WADC, and the Ford Foundation for giving us this platform to talk about how we can end violence against women. To rate the awareness in my community, I would say currently the awareness is really high due to the support that we received from the Women Advocate Research and Documentation Center. The support has enabled us to work closely with community rulers, the ideologists, the religious leaders, the youth, and other stakeholders to end violence against women and girls. And these key people have taken the message down to their people such that every nook and cranny, people are talking about the issues of women and how to end violence against women and girls in the community. So I would really say the awareness is high.
Thank you so much. You really said the awareness is high. All right, I'll take your word for that because sometimes it doesn't really look like it. Sometimes it just feels like, we just talk. But we know today see a result like that. But I'm really glad that you say it looks like the awareness is high and then there's a lot of knowledge being put out there for people's consumption. So let's now talk about rural women. How do we create awareness for these women that live in rural areas enough for them to support the fight against gender-based violence? How do we do that? How do we break down the information to them in a way that we are the ones they want to talk to? We are the ones that they want to report to. We are the ones that they want to express whatever it is that's going on in their areas too. So where do we begin? How do we begin to create awareness in these areas, these grassroots areas, for rural women to support the fight against gender-based violence and understand it as well?
Okay. Yes, like I said at the beginning, looking at our own community because of the work that we've been able to do through the support of the WADC, to create awareness at the grassroots level. we had to ensure that the community is empowered to drive the process. It's not just we coming there to speak English, to tell them this, but the beautiful thing was that a community response team was inaugurated in the community. This community response team is made up of women, men that live in the community, youth, people that live in that community, and they know the issues, using local solutions for local problems. So these community response teams were trained, and after their training, they have been the one driving the process. They have been the one enlightening their own people. We had village square meetings also where everybody in the community came together and sat down to talk about these issues. Then a lot of dialogue with women groups, dialogue with young women leaders. These are strategies that have been used to create awareness at the grassroots level, and it's working. It's working because the community response team, they are not people that are brought from outside, but they are community members that understand this issue. And the communities also have confidence in these people because they were carefully selected, people that we know that the communities that have some sort of influence in the community. So these people as like figureheads, the community now know that, okay, there are some set of people that we could report to. There are people that we could take our matters to. This has really helped in creating awareness at the grassroots level and also making sure that everyone in the community is aware. Because after this community response team were trained, they were the ones that took the message back to their people in the language they understand. And they keep talking about it in their churches, in their mosques, in their community town hall meetings. Every meeting in the community is used as an avenue to create more awareness. So I think that is a very, very beautiful way, looking at the community response team against violence, on violence against women and girls, having village square meeting dialogues, and also, having a lot of discussions with the women themselves. These are strategies that have worked, which I believe will always work in terms of creating awareness at the grassroots level.
Fantastic job. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for all your insights so far. And I'm very curious because you talked about this awareness we're referring to, creating this awareness in a way that it supports the cause of gender-based violence, or supports the fight. Let me put it that way. It supports the fight of gender-based violence. Now, let's talk about the how. So if these women come together, or what exactly, how can they make this happen? How can they go out of their way to create this awareness for the other women in their communities and even women outside, people who have moved and all of that? So how can the capacity of these women be built in a way that it can build more impact and provide more positivity?
Okay, like I said earlier, the women in the community, they have been trained. First and foremost, we cannot remove that element of training, because when people don't have knowledge, they don't have information. Information is power, and without information, you can't talk about impact. So looking at capacity building in terms of human rights, making the women know their rights, also talking about gender-based violence, what it is, what are the effects, and looking at also making them know that how can this information, if we work together to end gender-based violence, how can it affect our community positively? When they know the importance, when they know the benefits, they will become champions of this cause. These women, when they are empowered, when they have the right knowledge, they will know that they can stand up, they can speak for their rights. And even in their own group, looking at also the involvement of the Yalojas, the Yalodis, these are figures, women that lead a lot of other women. They are sort of influence over other women. So when such a person like the Yaloja is standing boldly for this cause, is able to pull other women, to join the cause. Looking at young women leaders also that they were trained through the project that were implementing with support from Ward C. The young women leaders were trained, like maybe the head of the hairdressers in the community, the head of the tailors in the community. They go back to their own people, the place where they have influence. Whenever they are having their normal meeting, they talk about it. Okay, if you are going through violence, it is not right. Even though normally the culture says you are to keep quiet, the culture of silence, just keep on enduring. But now that the women they are now aware, they now have the knowledge, they now know that, okay, gender-based violence is not right. They are going back to tell other women in their own little groups. And as they keep on spreading the message, that woman also will take it back to her home. She will educate her own daughter too. And you see that the ripple effect will just keep going on and on and on, such that the impact is lasting, such that the awareness keeps growing. The knowledge of these women on their rights is making them speak out. They are no longer seeing it as normal to say, let's just keep enduring. Even at the palace level, the community leaders have been, receiving a lot of, complaints from people that ordinarily would not have spoken out. They now know that, okay, it is not right for the husband to neglect the wife, or to abandon the children, or to even beat up his wife, and all that. So that knowledge that they have been given, that's in terms of training them, in terms of making them know that gender-based violence, what it is, what are the effects, what can you do. So this empowerment, this capacity building has also translated to them also taking the message to their little groups, and this, keep going on. And that's why we know that the effects or the impact will be lasting. And we keep on going like that till every woman in the community and even beyond is aware that gender-based violence is a no-no.
I want you to just keep talking back and forth, and I'll tell you the simple reason. You're dropping a lot of Gen Zs will call it nuggets or gems, so to speak, in terms of how this awareness can be created, and by how I mean like practical steps. And I'm grateful for that. Thank you very much. Now, one thing that pops up every time rural women are mentioned is communication and the language of communication. Let me put it that way, the language of communication, because they feel that these people are not literate enough to understand basic English in the way that we all speak it, and we still need to communicate a certain message to them, understanding that sexual and gender-based violence is wrong, and there's this and this and this and this are factors that could contribute and all of that. So we need to get the message out there to them. And the next thing is language. How can these community women be encouraged to take part in these programs, particularly in the language that they feel comfortable in?
Okay. In that aspect, what we've done through the support of Ward C was to take the message to them in their local languages. We involved different leaders, maybe the women of the ethnic groups of the Igbo, the women leader of the ethnic groups of the Hausa, like that, bringing these women. So after we've done the education in English, we'd not just leave it at that. The other women can also translate this to them in their own language. And you see that when you use that language, they come alive because they understand. They use examples of things happening around them, women that they can see. And you see, when you talk like that in those languages, you see them coming up, giving other examples of what has happened, what they've been going through, making them understand. The most important thing is, making them understand in their local languages. That is why the VAP law was also shared to them or given to them in their own local language. The abridged version of the VAP law, it was translated to Yoruba. The pact that we signed with them to end gender-based violence was in their own language, what they understood. And the community response team also being part of them knows how to communicate these things to them, such that even the non-literate understood what gender-based violence is and can also pass on the message to other people. And now you see one of the benefits we have seen is that we see a lot of women now speaking out because they are also encouraged. They know that, okay, when such a thing happens, is not right. Even though the norms, the culture might say, just keep quiet, keep enduring. They know that they can get solution, and they are also speaking out. So that's how we've been able to help them, by communicating it in local languages, using the dialect that they understand.
That's really effective. In line with language, still in line with language, does the fact that they understand this language of communication improve the response?
Definitely, it has improved the response because it is participatory. It has made them see that they can participate, they can own the process, they can be part of it, their voices matter, and they can speak up. So it has really, really helped in improving the process. Yes.
Thank you so much. Are there other means that you think that community women or rural women can be encouraged to participate? Are there any other ways, any other measures that you think that if this and this are put in place, these women will be more inclined, they'll be more encouraged to support the cause of gender-based violence, or the fight, to support in the fight against gender-based violence? Yes.
Yes, definitely. A lot has been done already, but there's still so much more to be done in terms of when we are looking at getting justice for victims or survivors of gender-based violence. One of the things that would encourage a lot of women to speak up is when they see that, okay, someone has spoken up and the person got justice and the person was better than before the person reported the case. There's still a need for a lot of empowerment for women. Most times, some women prefer to still stay in that situation in terms of maybe they're experiencing domestic violence or neglect and all that. They still stay there because they feel that if they go out, they don't have anything to fall back on. They don't have any form of economic skills. But those things are put in place. One, empowerment for the women. Also looking at ensuring that they get justice, that justice is not delayed or denied. And showing this will show the benefits of speaking up, when they see that, okay, this person spoke up and the person got justice. And I also like the fact that the provision of the BAP law has been domesticated. It has been brought down to their own level in those abridged version of the law that was provided and was distributed to the women in the community, the women groups, the young women leaders, the Yaloja, the Yalode. They are actively involved in this process. So seeing those women also is like they see that this thing is possible. If this person can be involved in it, then why not? I know that if I partake in it or if I come and speak up, I will also get, the necessary or the needed justice. So justice is very important, and also making sure that when the women speak up, they get, and maybe a form of empowerment, if it's those that need empowerment, maybe skills training, which is one of the things we actually did, training them on different skills like maybe soap making, tailoring, hairdressing, depending on what they feel that will be beneficial to them. So thank you very much. That's what I can say about, making sure that we encourage more women to take part in capacity building programs.
Definitely. Thank you very much. Thank you. We're still talking about ending violence against women through capacity building programs, and this is still Women Lives Matter on Women Radio 91.7. Women Lives Matter is an initiative of Women Advocates Research and Documentation Center in partnership with Women Radio 91.7 and funded by the Ford Foundation. The number to call is still 07000 917 917. 07000 917 917. If there's any question that you have and you want to have it clarified, you want to have it fleshed out a bit more, then please by all means call in and Well, just call in. When you call in, of course, direct your questions to our guest and then we can have a bigger conversation. But we're still talking about ending violence against women through capacity building. All right, now let's talk about this. Folashade, you would agree with me that there are lots of initiatives, there are lots of schemes that are in place to provide for rural women. But you can never really tell how far these initiatives or these schemes go, because sometimes you can't really say who got what and how much they got, and if they were able to open a business or anything. Now, let me ask you: do you think that we have enough follow-up culture when it comes to capacity building initiatives, particularly for the purpose of fighting against sexual and gender-based violence?
Okay, if I got you right, you're asking if we have enough follow-up.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, I would say to an extent, yes, we do. Though we still need to do more, because one of the challenges, of development or projects, most times is, just after the project ends, there's no proper follow-up. To make sure that we don't experience that. One thing is to make sure that the community owns the process from the beginning. If we're bringing up a project and we're making it look like this is our project, it's different from when at the very onset the community knows that this is our project. And also sustainability mechanisms are put in place to ensure that
I didn't get that last part.
Okay, I said making sure that sustainability structures are put in place to make sure that the project goes on even after the lifespan of the donor funding. And that is, one of the beautiful things about the solidarity, accountability, and commitment to ending violence against women and girls project that we're implementing with support from the Ward C and the Ford Foundation. The community response team is one of the sustainability structures that has been put in place. The community response team is owned by the community. They know that this response team continues. It will keep on being there even after we're gone. People can call on this response team whenever they have issues of gender-based violence. Also, the involvement of the Yalojas, the Yalo Days, and also the security agencies in the community. They were part of the process. When we had the village square meeting, all these key stakeholders were there to look at the issues together and to jointly craft out, solutions, local solutions to their problems. We are not bringing up the solution. They have the problem and they say, okay, this and this and these are things that, when put in place, we bring about an end to gender-based violence. So communities taking ownership is one of the ways to sustain projects and even the follow-up. They themselves will know that, okay, they'll follow up on this project to ensure that it continues until there is no form of violence against anybody in their communities. Even the community leaders have gone to the extent of even putting up laws that, okay, anybody found beating up a woman will face so and so punishment. That is a law that will keep on going on because it is a community law. It was a law that was brought about by the community. Nobody imposed the law on them. So that is some sustainability structures or system that I can talk about that will make sure that there is continuous follow-up and that the objectives of the project doesn't end even after the donor funding.
All right. There's so much work to do when it comes to sensitizing these women, when it comes to educating them, and when it comes to taking them from a place of not knowing enough to a place of giving them adequate information. You've talked about so much so far, and it basically just lends credence to the fact that if these women are not educated about sexual and gender-based violence and all that it entails, they will not be able to take action because, again, they don't know any better. So let's now talk about the VAP law. So you talked about the VAP law earlier. I don't know why that's coming out weirdly. You talked about the VAP law earlier, the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Law and its provisions. So you did say that the project encompasses taking the VAP law and translating it into languages for these women in the rural areas. And I was asking about, do you think that increases the understanding of these women and their response? So let me ask you this one now before we delve into the VAP law fully. It's one thing to educate them, particularly in their language, but it's also another thing to educate them on what it really means and how they can apply it. Do you agree with me?
Yes.
Okay. So how do you go about doing that? How do you go about educating them, and not just on the law itself, the provisions, and how to apply it in a way that they can actually follow up with it if the need ever arises?
It's not just about printing the law in their language and distributing to them. We have sessions, one-on-one sessions with these women, where we engage them, to be really sure that they, understood the VAP law. Again, they have women groups where they've had, reading sessions in their little groups. Maybe whenever they're having a meeting, you take the law, this particular law, what does it mean? And also, getting feedback. It's not just about talking. They are also giving us feedback that make us know that, okay, they understand what this law is. And to know that they really understand it, it can be seen or it's revealed in the way they are now speaking up. The cases that have been reported and how the community leaders are also handling these cases. Making sure that one of the things that we expressed in the communities was, the security agency assigning somebody in that office to respond to gender-based violence cases. So it shows that there is specificity. It's not just about general response. But if there's any issue or any case, and such a person, the case gets to the police station, there's someone, a desk officer, that will respond to that particular case to show you how important it is. So with this, we can see that, okay, they understand this law. They know that, okay, this and this are the people that we can reach out to if we have any case. And they also know that they can get justice. And most times, like the cases of wife abandonment, the first case of contact will be the community leaders, the community response team, who will now escalate these issues to their community leaders. And such if is a man, the person is summoned to the palace. And then the person has to respond or give reasons why this and this has been done. And they give the person, okay, you have been given an ultimatum to do this and this. If you don't do it, this and these sanctions are what we follow. So with all those practical examples, you can see that they really understand it. You can see that the Yellow Jazz also, the Yellow Days, championing this cause, taking it like we are the forefront. They are the forefront of the issues and helping the women in the community to also help them address those issues. It shows that truly they understand it and they are making use of it.
Thank you so much. Habastu on Women Radio 91.7. This is still Women Lives Matter. Women Lives Matter is an initiative of Women Advocates Research and Documentation Center, Ward C, in partnership with Women Radio 91.7 and funded by Forward Foundation. Call us at 07000 917 917. 07000 917 917. You can also send in maybe a text or WhatsApp message to 0703 175 653 6537. I'll take that again, 0703 175 6537. Remember, this is Women Lives Matter. And today we're discussing ending violence against women through capacity building. Ending violence against women through capacity building. And my guest today is Mrs. Bamigboye Folashade, Executive Director, Kids and Teen Resource Center. And as I said, we're discussing ending violence against women and girls, and this is particularly important, against rural women through capacity building. Let me put it that way. Now, how do we... Okay, I'm coming back to you now, Folashade, because we've talked about so much before now, and I want us to be able to direct the line of conversation to a close. We're not closing yet. we're not closing yet. But I just want us to focus on certain things. Now, I like the sound of these initiatives and these capacity building programs that have been going on in these communities. But how can we measure success? How can we say that, oh, okay, when we got here, this is what we meant, and now this is this? Even in our absence, the community people have rated or are still abiding by some of the knowledge that we've given them. How can we measure the success and achievements or achievements of these capacity building programs in these communities? Is there really any way to know?
Yes, there are a lot of indicators that point us to the fact that the capacity building has been very effective. Now, at the onset of our projects in the communities, we had advocacy meetings with key stakeholders in the community, and I just want to cite a particular example that will show you how successful this program has been. Mm-hmm. We visited the primary healthcare coordinator of the health facility in the community to let him know about the project. And in less than 2 weeks, he got a call about a young girl that came to the facility with her dad. The dad brought her for an abortion. And what he told the health workers there was that, she got impregnated by a boy and he doesn't want her education to be affected. He wants them to help her get rid of the baby so that she could continue. And they said, okay, fine. They asked the girl, do you want to have this abortion? And she said yes. She said she doesn't want her education to stop. But because of the awareness that we've created through this project, the solidarity, accountability, and commitment to ending violence, the awareness has been there. When they took the girl in, they had to probe further. And during that probing session, they discovered that it is the dad that has been sexually molesting the girl for years, getting her pregnant, now coming to secure an abortion for her. And we got a call immediately that so and so has happened. That is just one in many cases that we've received. There was a call from a woman that has been in a marriage for over 20 years and has been enduring domestic violence because she felt that it was normal for a woman to go through all that. You have to stay with your husband. But she called us, and she called us at a time when the husband, she was now thinking of leaving, and he was threatening to pour acid on her. She called at that time, and we were able to intervene. So looking at before you go on, Folashade, cases of wife abandonment that has been handled by the Council of Iyalojas, Iyalode, and the Oba in the community. Yes, we can begin to measure the success of the capacity building, the success of the awareness that has been created through the village square meeting, the community dialogues, that people are now speaking up. They are now, bringing up their matter. They now know that they don't have to, keep enduring violence. They don't have to keep enduring, pain, all in the name of culture and all those cultural, beliefs. So this is just an example to show you how successful this project has been. Women are now empowered with knowledge. They now know that they can take their own, matters in their own hands.
Absolutely.
The Iyalojas now know that they can stand up and speak up for other women too. and also, educate the ones that are coming up to on ending violence against women and girls. Thank you.
You know, I have so much more to say concerning this, but you mentioned the story about the lady whose husband used to hit her, and then the fact that you intervened in that particular situation. Do you want to shed a bit more light on that? Because I'm asking this because if you follow the news and happenings in recent times, you would see that there are a lot of cases of women who are physically violated by their spouses, by their husbands, by their boyfriends, for people that are not even married. And these situations go on and on for a while, and some of these people don't know what to do next. So what kind of intervention took place in this particular case, and what was the outcome?
Okay. Now, for that particular case that I mentioned,
Yes.
the woman has been in the marriage for a while, and she has been experiencing this different forms of violence, domestic violence, neglect, the man not wanting to own up to his responsibility, and she being the one always having to provide, for the home. And she just kept on like that until we brought those messages and education, and she reached out to us at the point when she had already decided, okay, after she decided that she was going to leave the marriage, and she told the man, and he threatened her that he was going to pour acid on her and make her useless, such that no other person can get married to her. What we did was that she reported the case. We escalated the issue to the community leaders and also made them know, and also told the security agencies about the issue. So we were advised to also report the case at the Ondo State Agency for, against gender-based violence. All these steps, first and foremost, the community leaders summoned the man, and right there, they told him the implication of what he was threatening to do, and that he was taken also to the police station and made to sign an undertaking that, okay, if anything happens to this woman, if you pour acid on her or you do anything to her, you'll be locked up. You're made to face the law. So ordinarily, the man was not expecting such things to happen. He just felt, okay, it was business as usual. But getting those, calls and, someone from the heads of the community and, letting him know that, okay, there are people behind this woman. There are people that you can report to. It cautioned him and made him know that, okay, eyes were on him. And, also we also spoke with the woman to know, okay, if she would like to be transferred from a place of work to a place where the man doesn't know. But she said, okay, let us look at what has been done. And it was very effective, because after then there was no more threats, no more abuses, no more fear that one day somebody can just come and pour acid on her. So those were the steps that were taken. Also for the case of the little girl that got impregnated by her dad, the beautiful thing about Ondo State is that there are structures, not just there are community-based structures. At the state level, there are structures. Actually, the state has a zero tolerance policy for gender-based violence. And apart from reporting that case to us, it was also escalated to the office of the wife of the governor and the agency against gender-based violence. And they immediately took up the case of that girl to provide rehabilitation and shelter for her. So
I'm sure that went a really, really long way.
That's how those cases were handled.
I can only imagine where she is now and the development that has taken place in her life from then till now. So thank you very much for sharing that particular story. You also mentioned about the activities of the Iyalo Days and Iyalojas in this community. How would you rate the effectiveness of the Council of Iyalo Day and Iyalojas within your community? Will you say that, these people have done a fantastic job, or these people need to do just a little bit more, or these people need to do a lot more? Would you say that they have been effective within your community?
Yes, these women leaders are people that are respected within the community. So the fact that Roxy has been able to train them, build their capacity, has really helped, that made them more effective in responding to gender-based violence. So that they will not just say, okay, let me look away, it's not my business. They now know that there's something can be done. They now know that they are backed up by the law. They know that they can report cases and get justice. And also, apart from all that the community, what they are doing, they still need more capacity building, actually, in terms of capacity building, in terms of training them on providing counseling, for survivors or victims of sexual and gender-based violence. I also look at maybe training on providing psychosocial support and first response or first aid, what they can do when cases of gender-based violence is reported to them, apart from trying to be a mediator or trying to ensure that such a case never happens again. They could also be trained on providing counseling and providing psychosocial support and all that for victims.
Thank you very much. Folashade, the subject of ELO days and ELO jazz has been discussed on this program before, and there was a surveillance and community response team that was referred to in terms of exposure and in terms of taking this message back and forth among these women in rural communities. Would you say that the community surveillance teams and community response teams have also played a large role in sharing that knowledge to a lot of women in these individual communities and taking the message of violence against women and girls very seriously?
Yes, they have. In fact, the community response team, they have been so passionate about this issue. There's a particular woman, when sharing her experience, she'll tell you that she has now been empowered. She now has power to, people now know that around that, okay, this woman is part of the community response and we can go to her, we can report. And even, offenders or people that would ordinarily have resorted to violence, knowing that she's around, they are cautioned. The awareness has gotten to that level. So the community response team has been very, very effective. It's more like, empowering local communities to take action, empowering local communities to deepen or strengthen the fight against gender-based violence. So they have truly, truly been effective and in terms of working with the lodgers and spreading the message. Yes.
Okay. So finally, do you think that there's more to be done? What more? Do you think there's more to be done? That's part A. Because this is like my final question now, because we've talked about so much and I want us to come to like a summary, a point where we can say, okay, this is the way forward. So Folashade, would you say that there's more to do in building the capacity of these women, strengthening their knowledge on gender-based violence, and what more specifically, or what are two things that you can say that if these things are done, it will help them effectively to also help out other women and call out injustice against women?
Thank you very much. Yes, there is so much that can still be done, even though we've done a lot. There's so much that can still be done in terms of still educating the women. There are different aspects of human rights violation. There are different aspects of gender-based violence that we can still be educated on. Then also the issue of that empowerment that I talked about earlier is very, very important. There's so much, the VAP law is very, very rich. There is so much provision in it that women still need to be educated more on, so that they will not just be, recipients of this information. They will also stand as organs of enlightenment in their community against rape, harmful widowhood practices, all those different forms of violation of human rights. One of the major challenge that we face in terms of responding to cases of violence is, there are some women that have issues of, they need economic empowerment. They need shelter also. There are some that need shelter. If we could have, safe spaces or shelters for these women where they can, at least transition until they can get permanent solutions to their issues, and also the issue of training them on different soft skills, and also empowering them maybe to start a business skills, financial literacy skills are, areas where, we still need to look at if you ask me. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Is there anything that you would like to add? Is there any part of this that you would like to emphasize on, particularly as it relates to ending violence against women through capacity building?
Yeah, we've said a lot already, but
we
want to, appreciate you for the time, and also appreciate what C and the Ford Foundation for this platform, because the role of the media cannot be overemphasized when it comes to ending violence against women and girls. So I believe that this program is going on. A lot of people are listening in and getting 1 or 2 points, knowing that, okay, they can now speak up. They know that, okay, there are, organizations working to end gender-based violence against women and girls. There are people that there are call lines, like that abridged version of the VAP law that was produced by WOTC. There are, centers or phone numbers that could be called. And I just want to also say that the VAP law is very, it's a law that has come to help in prosecuting, offenders, and also the provisions of the law has made it possible for people that, speak up or report their cases to get financial compensation. And also the beautiful thing about the VAP law is the provision that talks about the sex offenders register that has been created or being created in different states, where anyone that is prosecuted for a sexual offense, the picture and the data of that person will be on that register. And it also helps serve as a deterrent to other persons in the society. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for spending time with us today. And just to round off, you how let me phrase this right in a way that I can communicate this properly. There's so much talk about engaging these women when it comes to empowerment, and by that I mean financial capacity and skills. How do you think this ties into reducing the how do you think this ties into reducing the amount of cases of gender-based violence in these communities?
Yes, thank you for that beautiful question. A lot of research has shown the correlation between, finances and gender-based violence. One of the experience we even that was seen is the increase in the number of gender-based violence during that COVID period, when there was a lot of lockdown.
And we were all home that time. Exactly.
There was no money for food and all that. So there's a lot of correlation between, finances and, violence at home, domestic violence. So we believe that. And, another thing is that some women, or most women that go through these issues, they prefer to stay back in such, relationships, because they do not have an alternative, or they cannot see beyond that, immediate, like, okay, I don't have money, I don't have a job, I don't have any skill. If I leave this relationship, what next? What does the future hold for me? So these are some of the thoughts or that keep on holding these women back. But if they are empowered, if they know that, okay, they can fend for themselves, they can fend for their children, they have skills. And even some women, they know that, okay, if I'm involved in this business, I can also bring something to the table in the marriage. It will also lessen a lot of, stress at home. And I believe it would also help in reducing the number of domestic violence or gender-based violence that we, get to handle.
That's so true. That is very true. Thank you. Thank you very much for that answer. And this is why I call it a day, actually. Thank you so much, Folashade. Thank you for being a wonderful guest and for sharing your knowledge with us.
Thank you, too, for your time.
Please enjoy the rest of your day. Violence against women and girls is rooted in a lot of gender-based discrimination, social norms that accept violence, and gender stereotypes that continue these cycles of violence. So it is very important to eliminating violence, that women and girls are prioritized and their capacity is built in a way that they have more knowledge and they have more understanding about the intricacies of gender-based violence and what to do next going forward if that ever happens to them. So thank you very much to my guest, Bamboye Folashade, Executive Director, Kids and Teens Resource Center. And of course, thank you to you as well for tuning in to Women Lives Matter. Thank you to the producer, Elizabeth Akwerigbe, and Executive Director, Tomu Okewale Shonaya. Thank you to you for tuning in as well. Women Lives Matter is broadcast every Monday at 2 p.m. on Women Radio 91.7. Let us join our hands together to end violence against women. Women Lives Matter is an initiative of Women Advocates Research and Documentation Center in partnership with Women Radio 91.7 and funded by the Ford Foundation. My name is Sumto Titilayo Ajama. Good afternoon.
WFM 91.7.